What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Arrival Entertainment, and today we are going to be talking about the sequel to Don't Breathe 2. Don't Breathe 2 stars Stephen Lang, and it is a sequel to the very excellent first movie, Don't Breathe. And this time around, Stephen Lang has to protect this little girl from a group of thugs that break into his house. Now, I love the first Don't Breathe. I mean, that movie was such a big surprise. I remember seeing the trailers and thinking to myself, this movie feels like it's just going to be a gimmick movie. But then a friend of mine who doesn't watch horror movies told me, no, watch this movie. It's really, really good. And I watched it and I was like, yeah, that was really freaking good. So I was really excited when I heard that they were going to be doing a second movie. And I know a lot of people had concerns when they saw the trailer that this time around Stephen Lang's kind of made to be the hero of the movie when he was the villain in the last movie. I know a lot of people, like I said, were concerned about that, but it didn't bother me too much because movies in the past have pulled that off before. The biggest one I can think of is Terminator 2. The first Terminator movie, Arnold was the big Terminator that would kill anyone that got in his way, and then the second movie, he was made to be the hero. So movies have pulled that off before. I wasn't really that concerned about that. My main concern was, what could they do with this movie? Because in my opinion, Don't Breathe didn't really need a sequel. It felt like the first movie kind of did its thing and that was it. I mean, granted, I only saw the movie once and that was back when it came out, so I don't fully remember the ending of the first movie, so my memory might be playing tricks on me a little bit, but from what I remember, it didn't feel like the movie needed a sequel. And I like the story of Don't Breathe 2. I like the fact that Stephen Lang, the villain of the first movie, has to protect this little girl that we don't really know anything about. We find out more about her as the movie goes along, but I thought that role reversal of Stephen Lang was actually one of the better parts of the movie because, yeah, this guy's done some terrible things, and without spoiling anything, he's acknowledged those terrible things. So the movie does acknowledge, at least a little bit, that we are siding with the villain from the first movie, but it does it pretty well, I thought. I thought the girl in the movie was pretty good too. With kid actors and actresses, it's kind of 50-50. Sometimes they feel like they don't want to be there because, you know, they're just a kid, and other times they give in pretty good performances, and this girl in the movie, I thought she gave one of the better kid performances in recent memory. Besides the young actress and Stephen Lang, there was quite a bit that I enjoyed in Don't Breathe. It's a pretty solid sequel in my opinion. The movie doesn't really have that level of horror suspense that the first movie did. It does lean a little bit more on action, which I'm fine with. I like action, I like horror. I thought it was a good combination overall. In fact, the action set pieces with Stephen Lang I thought were really strong, really well choreographed, well filmed. There's a couple of visual cues that are kind of like callbacks to the first movie. It's kind of hard to explain, but I noticed there was a couple of camera shots that were directly taken from the first movie. It didn't feel like it was copying off it. It just felt like a nice homage. Also, this movie is very, very bloody and violent, which a lot of horror fans are going to appreciate, and I enjoy too. I'm kind of squeamish when it comes to blood and gore, but with this movie, it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. However, there were a couple times where it felt like the director or writer, whoever it was, purposely did some stupid things to give us some blood and gore. It's a little hard to explain, to dance over it, so I'm just gonna tell you a part that happens in the movie, and this isn't a spoiler. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything major. The scene that I'm talking about was actually briefly shown in the trailer, so don't worry, no spoilers for me. But remember in the trailer where that one bad guy had his mouth and nose superglued, and it turns out that Stephen Lang tricked this guy to superglue his nose and mouth shut so he couldn't breathe, and then that other guy finds him and he's telling him to breathe? Well, that guy goes to get a screwdriver when he finds him, and from what I've seen a couple of reviews, and from what I've seen, a lot of people had the same thoughts where they're like, oh, he's gonna take the screwdriver and just pry the glue off of his mouth. No, he takes a screwdriver and just stabs it in the guy's cheek so he can breathe, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you can do that too. But then literally seconds later, that guy takes a piece of glass and cuts the rest of the glue off of his nose and mouth. So it's like, what was the point of stabbing his cheek to let him breathe if seconds later he's just gonna cut it off himself? It just felt like there were a couple times here and there, not a whole lot, but it's worth mentioning. There were a couple times here and there where it felt like it had to be bloody and gory just for bloody and gore's sake. And because of that, there were a couple of stupid moments in the movie, like that. Also, it felt like they did stupid stuff like that to build up tension, I guess. Because, again, I'm not spoiling anything, but the young actress locks herself in this big red metal box, and then that turns out to be a trap. That box was supposed to keep her safe, but it turned out to be a trap for her. I'll just say that. And I was like, yeah, I could have seen that coming a mile away. You just did something real stupid that was supposed to save yourself, but to build up tension, it backfired a little bit. Again, I don't want to spoil that scene, because that scene goes on for a little bit and it was pretty cool, but it was a pretty dumb moment that's worth mentioning. Now, the first movie had a really, really disturbing scene at the midway point of the movie involving a turkey baster. Not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but when that happened, a lot of people were like, what is he doing? Myself included, I had that reaction too, and I kind of expected they would try something shocking in this movie as well, and they do. Without spoiling it, it's not as shocking as the first movie, but when I did see it, I did cringe. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a nice little twist here and there, but it wasn't that big level of shock like that first movie had. Like, again, turkey baster. That's all I gotta say about the first movie. So that twist, while it was pretty cool, it didn't have that shock value that I think that they were trying to do. They tried, but it just didn't land, in my opinion. But besides those gripes, I think Don't Breathe is a very solid sequel. Stephen Lang knocked it out of the park. The girl that played the little girl in the movie, she's very talented, has a bright future ahead of her. Very good action in the movie. Not a whole lot of suspense, but it does have some horror elements to make this movie a horror action movie. So pretty much, if you like the first movie, I see no problem why you shouldn't enjoy this movie. If you didn't like the first movie, I don't think this movie's gonna win you over. Just my opinion. But if you really like the first movie and you were unsure about this movie, I think it's definitely worth checking out, and I think it's worth a Blu-ray purchase. Like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I noticed it's got a pretty low Rotten Tomatoes score. Well, not pretty low, but kind of low compared to the first movie, and I don't get it. I don't get most of the gripes. Yeah, the movie's not perfect. I wouldn't say it's better than the first movie either, but as horror sequels go, it's pretty good. So that's my review for Don't Breathe 2. Just like always, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the movie down in the comment section. And are you hoping for a third movie? Because if they do plan a third movie, I have no idea what they're gonna do. So whatever your thoughts on everything is, let me know down in the comment section. And just like always, guys, thank you as always for watching. Look forward to more videos I got planned very soon. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and share it. Subscribe right here if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, take care.